and it was kind of funny when I first saw you guys following me. I thought I've been to Austin a lot, and I was like, oh, the barbecue shop is fun.
Oh yeah, we get that.
We get that a lot.
Yeah.
It just felt really cool to be doing that and to see all the cameras going and just to be like, okay, this actually works. The initial Songs to the Pond was a little grant from the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Denver's definitely been that place for me, just as far as finding like-minded people, just super kind and super generous. I'd say that just the local scene here is just popping off and kind of just feels like on the cusp of kind of getting a lot more national.
And I think what we're interested in more is trying to bring success to artists. Just like I have like a moment before I sneeze, and it's a big moment. And there's a lot of
it's a little unattractive.
there's a lot of theatrics around it too.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Rundown with Whax. I'm super excited to have the Salt Lick crew here. If I'm going to go ahead and have you guys quickly introduce yourselves, and then maybe just do a quick intro about what the Salt Lick is.
Yeah.
I'm Jason.
I'm Andrea.
And the Salt Lick is something that we started back in the summer of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a way to get... Anyway, we started in the summer of 2020. There were no concerts going on, and we wanted to start a little live session series, kind of like Tiny Desk or KEXP. Mm-hmm. We had a bunch of audio gear and video gear, so we wanted to put that to use and highlight some of our favorite bands in Denver. And that was the series called Songs from the Pond. And
yeah, I mean, along with that, we also had a lot of friends with a lot of talents. Our friend is, both of our friends are sound engineers. Chris is a sound engineer. John's a sound engineer, also very good with the camera. And we kind of all mashed together and kind of put all our talents together. Along with Songs in the Pond, I do all the set design for it, did a mural, decorated the space, and yeah, it was definitely the best use of our talents at the time to kind of bring local music out to people when they couldn't get it. And then from there, we decided to start a indie record label in the fall of 2021. And in addition to that, we also are a recording studio and a video production studio. So we got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
We're really diversified.
It's awesome. It's really, really cool. Yeah, I was looking into it, and I kept being more amazed as I got deeper into the labyrinth that is Salt Lick, the Salt Lick. And it was kind of funny when I first saw you guys following me. I thought I've been to Austin a lot, and I was like, oh, the barbecue shop is fun.
Oh yeah, we get that.
We get that a lot.
The two things we get a lot are the Salt Lick barbecue and the Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And
oh really?
People are like, the
That's
Salt
funny.
Lake, Denver. I didn't know Denver had a Salt Lake.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not what it
That's
is.
funny. Where did the name come from? Where's it
The name, I like to say the name came from, we were watching some Attenborough, as we do, and there was a scene where all the critters of the forest or the savannah were gathering around a salt lake to get their essential nutrients, and I thought that there was some kind of metaphor there between that and a music scene, maybe, and that maybe we could provide some of those nutrients for our music scene, and maybe we are, at the time it was our basement, could be some kind of like gathering space, or at the original time, a kind of virtual gathering space.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of also carry that out figuratively and literally. We both really enjoy cooking, and whenever we do have events, we do like to, put a lot of effort in the food. And personally, for me, food is really important as far as just, it's a centerpiece for people to come together, and it's just something that doesn't really need any words or have any barriers, and it's just a great way to get people together, feed them. Everyone's having a good time. No one's getting too drunk or too high, and everyone's just kind of like chill and happy.
I love that so much. That's like the ideal scene for music, I think.
Yeah, food and music.
Yeah, what's better? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Did you? So it sounds like I've read a little bit about the story, but so it started in a basement. I don't know if you guys can quickly run through the very beginnings. I love the set design when I was looking at the old basement shots, and it's so cool. It's such a cool concept. But how did you start there?
Yeah, you want to talk about the flooding in the basement?
Yeah, I mean, the basement was initially kind of a mess. It was a rental in Cap Hill, and we really just kind of worked to clean the whole place up. All the previous renters had left all their stuff there, and it's clear that it was kind of the remnants of hoarding from different renters from the past several years, and we went in there and moved a lot of stuff to the trash and to Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, scrub
And
the floors and the walls.
Yeah, mop the floors and probably expose some toxic stuff we shouldn't have. And and then Andrea painted a beautiful mural on the back wall, and the set design kind of grew from there.
I got a lot of stuff on from Goodwill. A lot of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Actually, most of like the Vine decor came from a lady I met on Facebook Marketplace who was just selling like bags of fake foliage from a Goblin music video that she was making. So it worked out really well for me, and it's I've definitely put all that stuff to use ever since. Not only with our basement, but whenever we have live events or we're doing any sort of set design. So yeah.
I thought it looked so cool. Those basement, and it was called Songs from the Pond, right? And that was kind of the first live set, or is that just one of the iterations?
I guess it's the first iteration. We will continue Songs from the Pond in the fall in a new space, kind of echoing the same vibe as the basement. Kind of cozy and cool. Yeah, it's going to be in this space. I'm in the middle of finishing up the mural. We will be starting off the series again in October. But yeah, echoing the same kind of coziness, all the fun colors, except now we have air conditioning and windows.
And sound treatment.
So we have upgraded a little bit there. But yeah, and I don't know if we touched on this, but it was called a pond because there was quite a bit of issues with the boiler in the background that you'll see in some of the sessions. It had flooded the basement quite a few times, and about 3 times before we started the sessions, and I think the day before we were gonna shoot the first session, it had flooded the basement.
Well, that was a different thing actually. That was the floorboards. It was hardwood flooring in that house, and the floorboards were not sealed together at all.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I had spilled a mop or something on the kitchen, and directly under where I spilled it was my computer and my workstation and my mixer, and the water just dripped down from the kitchen right onto my mixing board.
Oh my god.
And so I would frantically, I had no idea what I was doing. I took everything apart, I put a fan over it for 24 hours, and was just trying to dry it out, and then finally got it dried out, put it together. I was like, okay, thank God it still works. And then the band that we were initially going to host canceled on us because they got COVID.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
But we were able to get
typical COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But we were able to get a different band on, and that first band was Immigrant's Child. And when that all happened, it was really just kind of a proof of concept. Just it was really fun for us just to have a band just rocking out in our basement, especially after months and months of not seeing any live music. Because this was in, was this November?
We filmed it in November of 2020, yeah.
So we hadn't seen a proper live show in a really long time. And, we had been to some kind of shows where, you're kind of at a distance from the band, and even the singer is wearing a mask, and we all we had a pretty good distance, so we're you guys can take your masks off, and we want to capture that energy. We want to see your faces communicating with each other. And
Yeah.
It just felt really cool to be doing that and to see all the cameras going and just to be like, okay, this actually works.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I'm totally with you. I think that was the hardest thing in COVID, is just not seeing the faces. And that's like part of the magic of music, is interacting and experiencing that with each other. And it's so hard if you have a mask on. Also hard to sing with a mask on too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound great.
It's a different effect for sure. So I love this. So I'm really curious. It's the pandemic. You had this crazy idea. Are you working? You guys are both working full time now, or currently, or is this the full time gig? And then did you just dive in, or how did that kind of come to fruition?
Well, I work full time. I'm an HVAC engineer during the day, which ends up bleeding into, how I keep organized and like to run things, and also all my DIY skills as well, and just being able to keep calm in chaos. But yeah, so I'm still working full time, and the Salt Lake takes up the other half of my day and weekend. But I'm on that sweet work from home life, so it helps a lot.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a freelance videographer, and during the pandemic, videography slowed down quite a bit because, one, people didn't really want to meet up in person to shoot, and two, most of the kind of stuff that I did was marketing focused, and a lot of the budget that got slashed for companies was their marketing budget. So luckily, during that time, they extended unemployment benefits to freelance workers. So I like to say that the initial Songs to the Pond was a little grant from the U.S. government.
Yeah, why not? I love it.
And nowadays I'm still doing a lot of freelance videography, and we're just trying more and more to work on the studio side of this business and to get more clients in for recording, for video production and all that stuff, because while I love doing marketing and those kinds of videos, I really love doing video production for music clients. I think it's a lot more fun, and we both get to work on just kind of flexing our creativity and coming up with really cool concepts and executing them.
Yeah, no, it definitely shows. A lot of your stuff is so creative, so different in a lot of good ways. So I love watching it. And then
thank you.
From you guys have this kind of unique perspective. So you're the lead of sponsored content, right? Is that correct? I was sort of trying to put two together. Okay, cool. So you've got your band going, and you're running this studio together. I'm curious about what you guys think the future of this kind of how labels are going to work with artists, and how this might change. I think you guys have a really cool, unique way where it's a little bit more local. It's kind of all fully baked with video production and all these kind of great things, and it's a very collaborative experience. But curious how you guys see that label artist dynamic shaping up and maybe changing in the years now that it's really, the digital age has really changed a lot of things.
Yeah. I think it's changing quite a bit because, labels, the function of a label really used to be pretty limited, and that was to fund the recording of an album. Labels didn't touch shows for the most part. They didn't touch video production. Occasionally they do music video production, but for the most part, a label was interested in funding the recording of an album and profiting off of that recorded material. And now albums are a lot cheaper to fund, and also they're a lot less profitable. So the label's interest in those things has kind of waned. And I think what we're interested in more is trying to bring success to artists. And a lot of these artists have their own ways of recording, or they have a budget set aside for recording. And what they need help with is the kind of video promotion, the branding, the awareness, and the campaigns, and trying to get out there and get their music heard by people. And that's what they've always, or more recently, are struggling with.
Yeah, and part of we use the term record label a little bit loosely, just because that definition has changed a lot over time. And I think the biggest point of it is kind of building a team together, trying to figure out what needs to be strengthened, where our bands need help with certain items, which Jason mentioned is a lot of the branding and just like putting a lot more effort into just keeping their websites updated, their social media updated, and also getting press, getting the word out there, and just kind of focusing on the less exciting stuff. The more exciting stuff is like recording your music, playing it, making it, writing it, and everything. But there's a ton of behind the scenes items that a lot of bands don't think about or put aside the capacity to do. And we're kind of we kind of want to be there to kind of augment what bands are already doing, and kind of continue to push them up. And as we continue to grow, all our bands will grow. And yeah, we're just continuing to work on getting the word out there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think one of the crazy things about this age now is like a musician has to wear so many different. I mean, they're like writing TikToks and they're doing video production and they're marketing and they're coming up with all this stuff, and it's not necessarily suited for everybody. And some people just want to write the music, or they need a helper, collaborative community, because it's kind of hard to do all that in isolation. So I think what you guys got going on is really cool, and really helps kind of. I'm sure all of these artists are just lapping it up, and it's really exciting. It's fun to watch. So I know from my perspective, it's been great. I'm curious, have you guys been in Denver for a long while? Has this been your scene, or is this some relatively new?
I've been here for just over 6 years now. So a little while.
Yeah.
And with moving from one community to another, it takes a little time to really settle in, which I feel like a lot of people don't give enough opportunity to kind of build their community in a space before they decide to leave. Because honestly, personally, it kind of felt like it took probably like 4 or 5 years for me to really feel like I found a community that accepts me and that I want to interact in and really build up. And Denver's definitely been that place for me, just as far as finding like-minded people, just super kind and super generous, and yeah, really just feeling a part of that community and wanting to see it grow.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, go ahead.
I moved to Denver in 2018. I went to Colorado College 2014, and then stayed. I went and did an East Coast tour with my band after graduating. So that was really my exposure to like a different music scene. We played in Philadelphia and then stayed in New York for like 2 months and just played all the different venues over there. And then after that, one of my friends had moved out to Denver and asked me if I wanted to move out there, and I was like, yeah, sure. I'm not really sure what else I'm doing. So, and it was kind of the prospect was that we could potentially keep the band together if we were all relatively in the same place, some of us in Denver, some of us in Colorado Springs, which did not end up working out, but I'm glad that I made the move. And Denver's music scene is definitely the music scene that I feel I've most been a part of. The music scene in Colorado Springs was really focused at the time within the college, and then the music scene in New York is just so vast and in some ways impenetrable. And I think, we had a lot of fun there and played a lot of great shows, but it was like, I feel like it'd take years to really establish yourself there unless you're really explosive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was my kind of curiosity. I didn't know if you guys had experience with other markets and how that Denver scene is evolving from your perspective, because it seems to be really booming in some ways. I know obviously the population's growing too, but I don't know if you've seen any pockets or like maybe it's different genres that are sticking out. But what's happening in Denver scene from your perspective?
don't know if I would say a particular genre is popping out, but yeah, I would say that just the local scene here is just popping off and kind of just feels like on the cusp of kind of getting a lot more national attention. Um, like I'm originally from Boston, and I had some friends in the indie music scene. It was like pretty cool. A decent amount of venues to play around, but not really quite to the scale of I feel like it is in Denver, where I feel like everyone here kind of knows everybody, but still kind of large, but feels small. It's got some like kind of a little bit of, like some hometown vibes to it. I feel like because I feel like everyone I know has some mutual friend or something that or we met somewhere, been in the same room together, and things like the Underground Music Showcase that happen here, like the Westward Music Showcase. Like things to that scale of like large local festivals, I feel like doesn't happen in many other cities around the U.S. Those local events really are my favorite times of year in Denver. And yeah, I think there's a lot of potential around, and it's continuing to grow. Sorry, I kind of forgot the original question.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I think
Okay.
Just curious about the Denver scene from your perspective,
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a smaller scene than scenes like Philadelphia or New York, and there's advantages to that. And I think one of the advantages is that, I mean, you can see where the top is. Your friends are at the top of the music scene in Denver, which is cool. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to raise the bar and like figure out like, okay, well, you can top out like right here right now, and then a lot of people think you have to move to some bigger city. How can we raise that bar and make it so that people can have careers in music in this city? But at the same time, I think it's a great city to like get your footing in right now, because it is small in some ways. I mean, it's a really big music scene. There's a lot of bands, but like it feels really tight knit, and it feels like a small town in a lot of ways, and it's easy to meet everyone. And I think like I said, there's a lot of advantages to that. So it's a really welcoming community, a very welcoming scene compared to a lot of the other bigger music scenes. And I think that the work that needs to be done now really is just trying to raise the bar and bring it to the next level, so that people don't have to move to LA or New York or Nashville or anything.
We have a lot of friends that are moving, so we're a little salty.
Yeah, I know. And that is such a shame, because I totally agree. I think that would be the goal, and I don't really know. So it's interesting to hear from your perspective if artists think they have to do that move at some point. And I think eventually probably don't. Hopefully, if you guys keep working on what you're doing, things will change maybe. Yeah,
and I think everyone's kind of, there's a lot of people out there that are working as well to build up the scene. I was thinking about this the other day about Indie 102.3, and how a lot of other cities don't really have that like local station that like plays a lot of local music, and always like highlights different bands every month. And those bands that are featured do see a pretty large bump in streaming and recognition and internet presence. And it's nice to also have that establishment out there that also helps musicians on a larger level in Denver.
From a kind of artist's perspective, what do you think are things artists can do to kind of take things to the next level? Let's say they're kind of just getting their feet wet, they're playing some shows. What can they do to kind of keep that moving, keep their momentum going?
I think one of the biggest things is with releases. I think a lot of artists, they consider the time that they need to spend recording the music and the money that they need to spend recording the music, but what they don't consider is the marketing material that they need to create and the promotion material that they need to create. So I think one of the biggest things that you can think of is not thinking of your recording plan, but your release plan as a holistic kind of thing. It's like, okay, I have the tracks recorded, mixed, and mastered now. So now I'm at maybe 25% of the way. What kind of material am I using to promote those songs? Am I booking a show to promote those songs? And with those shows, like, how am I actually going to get people out there? And I think when you're booking shows, because you asked about shows as well, is like, I think shows need to be an experience from the promotion to the time that people enter the door. There needs to be something for your fans or new fans to be like, I saw the coolest show the other day, and to brag to their friends about seeing a local band, because a lot of people don't brag enough about the amazing local music that we have in Denver. And I think we have really great local performances, but not as much great local experiences at concerts, just because I think, the idea is like, okay, we're going to go play our set and that's it. But I think in a lot of ways it needs to be a kind of, there needs to be an experience attached to it.
Yeah, and I guess along with that is just keeping consistency. I mean, kind of tagging on experience or a brand or just like a theme or something you're going with does like make it easier. It makes it a lot easier for yourself to tell people what you're about, or kind of get people interested in your event, and get people to go and get people, kind of build that excitement to get there. But yeah, kind of really working to make sure you're thinking about things holistically, and yeah, definitely not forgetting about like giving yourself enough time, whether that's a few weeks to a couple months, just to like get a plan together, email a lot of people, and just open as many opportunities as you can to get your music out there, and promote your events and your music up until your releases, and yeah, just consistently getting yourself out there, whether it's networking, whether it's making new friends and going to jams and other people's shows, and yeah, just staying present, I think.
Yeah, no, I love that. I truly love the idea of making your music very much an experience. I kind of think of like California Honey Drops and what they sort of did and made this like almost like you have this like party feel when you're going to go see them. It's going to be this whole thing. So I love that concept too. I think that's an important one to think about. And yeah, there's definitely no shortage of need for marketing, and I know musicians that I know like think you make a song and you kind of put it out and you're good, and it's not even close. It's just the very, very beginning, and sort of overdoing it almost in a way is the best way to get it out there.
Definitely.
In terms of when artists should consider going into a studio, like when do you recommend that for people to go and let's say like to use your guys' studio? What level? Is there a certain time where you're like, all right, you should probably go in and pay for some time?
I think that once you have, I think the most important thing is, I think going to a studio is a great idea, but the most important thing to get your value out of it is to be really well rehearsed, to have all your bandmates as tight as possible, because otherwise you're going to be wasting time in the studio trying to get that perfect take. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do at home now too. I think the most important things to do in studios are drums, and then you can follow that with vocals. But if you have a guitar amp that you really like and you have a microphone that you really like, you can record that at home and save yourself a lot of time and money. With all that said, bands that want to record, they should definitely record everything in a studio if they want to and they have the budget to, because it's going to bring a level of consistency to the sound that wouldn't have been there otherwise. But if you are on a budget, think about doing as much as you can at home first, and then coming into the studio and tracking things like drums that really need a good treated room sound.
Yeah, and as far as our studio goes, we keep it very cozy, and I know going to a studio sometimes can be a pretty intimidating thing, kind of walking in there and kind of you're in your mind and you're like, I should get that perfect take because I'm on the clock. And part of what we like to do here is just cultivate a good sense of comfort and coziness. And you are recording and you're on the clock, but like this should be a comfortable environment for you. Like, and with feeling comfortable also means you have a better chance of nailing your take and getting a take that you like. And yeah, we like to cultivate the comfort in our studio through. I mean, we do open jams every other month or so, and we have events at our studio, and just I like to feed people. We like to have people over to jam and kind of feel the space out as well. And yeah, I think being comfortable is really important.
Yeah, I think that's a really big part of it too, because when people come to the open jams, they have those musical moments that you have when you're jamming where you're like, oh, that's why I play music. And if you have that in a space like this, and then you come and record with us, it's like, yeah, I've been here, I felt, vulnerable and comfortable at the same time. I think this is a place where I can nail that take. And I mean, if you look behind us, I think we're one of the only studios in Denver that has windows and living plants in the studio.
Remarked about that. It's amazing. It's great.
And I think that a lot of people are, I don't know, maybe a lot of studios are designed in kind of warehouse spaces, and a lot of them are designed without windows because they're in interior spaces with interior walls, and maybe there's some kind of reflectivity to windows, but I think it's worth trading that for a really comfortable environment that just feels like, okay, I can go outside when I need to take a breath of air, and like this doesn't feel like I'm trapped. And we want people to feel like, I think a lot of bands' best performances happen in their basement, and we know basements. And so we want to try to, like, this definitely isn't a basement, but we want to try and bring that same kind of energy here as well, where it's like, this is a place where you can feel like you're with your bandmates, really comfortable, just like you would at practice.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. It's all about getting those great takes, and I think it takes that comfort to make that happen. 2 more questions, then we'll get to kind of the short form stuff, and I can get you guys out of here. I am curious, what's next for the Salt Lick? What do you guys want people to know? What's kind of the near future, and maybe even long term, if you have that thought out?
We always have a lot going on, I think, but we're just continuing to build our recording clients, our video clients, working on music videos, promotional content, concert filming, as well as kicking off Songs from the Pond again later this fall, with a few cool new local bands, and hopefully bringing on some touring bands later on. And otherwise, like, we're kind of continuing to do the same things we usually or have been doing, like holding open jams and just fun little events here and there. And sorry, this list is getting kind of long. We're also planning some live events at some venues too, where we'll be presenting a couple shows, probably this winter. And early next year, where I'll do set design, or probably put together some weird promotional content for it. I don't know if you've seen our last house party that we had, but you might have.
I did. I think it was that kind of jam session that you guys had. It looks like a blast.
Oh, well, we had a corn hub party before that.
Oh, I did see that. I did see that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was a great success. That was a lot of fun making content.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there were a lot of people that scrolled through, saw that reel, heard the noise, and then immediately threw their phone away because they were in public. But so we like making weird content. Was that everything?
I think that's pretty much it. We got some big releases coming up from all of our artists in the next few months that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sponsored content, Milady, all one word, lowercase,
Mhm.
because we've been having issues with that.
Yeah, Milady will be. We can't say anything yet exactly of what it is or when it's happening, but we'll be releasing a track from them that was recorded in the Salt Lick, so that's very exciting.
Yeah.
We have some really cool imagery to go with it too.
Cool.
So that's gonna be really fun.
But yeah, and a couple more releases from Silver Screen Fantasy and John Baldwin, and some other music videos and production. So
And I get to finally release some of my music.
yeah, you can have more than
Nice.
2 songs on Spotify. So that's pretty exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot. We keep busy for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're finding some time to put in your own music too, because I'm sure that's one of your passions. So good.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on. And then last question that I always ask is, what's the best advice you've been given?
I feel like it was definitely some advice from Rob. He's given us. I'd say the person who's given us the best advice has probably been
Yeah.
Rob. Rob
Shout out, Rob.
Mayper, right?
Mayper.
Mayper
Yeah, I've
from
never said
Future
his last
Garden.
name out
Yeah,
loud, I feel
neither
like.
have I.
Rob Mayper from Future Garden. Yeah, he's been super
Anytime
helpful.
like we have a question, we just call him, and it's like advice as simple as like how should we take this payment as far as our taxes go, and be like, this is what you should do. To like how should we like kind of handle this like label thing that we're doing,
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, best general advice was probably from my therapist. But anyways, it's mostly just make time for yourself and also like, and stay kind. Nothing is ever catastrophic, really. Everything's generally going to be fine. You just need to calm down.
Love it.
Yeah, it's good because I do freak out sometimes when we're having events and I'm like, man, no one's gonna show up, everything's gonna blow up. But you know what? It always ends up being great. So I've been just trying to carry that energy into everything.
Yeah, love it. So it's find a good mentor and make some time for yourself and realize that things are gonna be okay.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
advice is find a good mentor and remember what his advice is.
Incredible. Well, super appreciate your guys' time. I love what you guys are doing. I love following it, and it's very well visually shot, which is really, really cool. My brother's actually a videographer as well, so we get a kick out of it. It's well done. Great. Well, the last kind of 3 things that we do here. The first one is the 30-second rundown, where essentially I've got 30 seconds on the clock. I've got really short form questions, and we're trying to get to 10. That's the goal. I think the best thing to do here is maybe to have you guys flip-flop, so like one person will take one person will take the other. And they're kind of rapid fire, if that makes sense. So it's like, like weights or cardio, and you'd be like weights.
Wait, we're flip-flopping the questions, or
well,
we're
you
flip-flopping
answer first and I go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that works. So, who wants to start? And then we'll just kind of go back and forth.
And this question is just for me if I start, or is it?
So you
I
answer,
put one
then
answer
I
in, and
answer,
then
then
Andrew
you
puts-
answer. We have
Yeah,
to go
so
as
I'll-
fast as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got 30 seconds on the clock. I've got probably 13, 14 questions, but we'll see if we can get to 10. No one's made it to
You go
10 yet.
first.
Okay.
And it's all rapid fire, so I'm just going to rapid fire them off, and we'll start with Andrea, and she'll say it, and then you can go, and then we'll just keep going.
Okay.
How's that sound?
One first. Okay. I hope I don't freeze.
All right. All right, no worries. No one's made it, so we'll see if you guys can get there. All right, I'm going to do the countdown here in 5, 4. All right, ready? Home cooking or
Yeah.
takeout?
Home cooking.
Formal or casual?
Oh, that's me.
You go.
Casual.
Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings.
First album you ever bought?
Dark Side of the Moon.
Instrument you wish you could play?
Drums.
Favorite park?
Cheese Man.
Best music city?
Denver.
Books or TV?
Books.
Let's see. We got to 8, which might be the record, by the way.
Okay.
So, yeah, doing well. Doing
Because
well.
of that pause on the second one. You missed your cue.
Almost there. But some of them are tough. Like, first album you ever bought, that would take me a good 5 seconds to think about, I think.
I'm not sure if it was accurate. I know it was some Pink Floyd album. The first 5 albums I bought were Pink Floyd.
Mine was Evanescence.
Nice. That's cool. That's like very deep for a first album. I love it. I think mine was like something weird, like NSYNC or something. It's stupid.
Oh wait, you know what? Mine was it's not an album, but it was a like knockoff single of Genie in a Bottle. It was like I bought it from Sears, and it was like the original Genie in a Bottle and then like 2 remixes, and it was like some knockoff album art. Yeah. It was like during the era of hit clips.
That's right. Yeah. What a time.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then the last 2 things we do here, they're called 60-second ponders. So essentially, what I'll do is I'm giving you a weird prompt, and you can pass on it, but then the idea here is that your song is going to play in the background of this TikTok or this reel. So we'll use sponsored content probably. So if you pass, you just don't get the love. That's the thing. But no one's passed so far on the prompts. But
I saw one of these on your
okay,
page.
good. Yeah. So
nervous.
Really, it's just 60 seconds. I'm not going to say anything. You guys just have to fill up the time. It can be inane and weird. You can go off tangent if you want. I really don't care as long as you fill up the 60 seconds. And they've always been kind of funny and just different and weird. So.
Okay, so you give us a prompt and then we start talking immediately?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you, as soon as I give you the prompt, that's when the 60 seconds is starting. And then I'll let you know when it ends. And it's really just filling up time. But there's no wrong answers. There's really no wrong answers. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. Feeling good for the first one?
Wait, how many are we doing?
Just 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, here we go.
Just looking into the camera.
There's a new musical Olympics. What's going on in it? What's happening?
Ooh, curling for sure.
Curling and what's the guy? Lin-Manuel Miranda is definitely in it.
Yes, he is speed skating.
He's like actually an athlete in it?
Yes, he is on. Is it speed skating where like it's the really long blades?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I was thinking he was doing the score for it.
Oh, I was imagining him like going around the curlers. You know? And that's like the opening sequence.
So it's musicians. I guess where we're at now is it's musicians as athletes.
And it's going terribly.
They're not very athletic.
Yeah.
Questlove is obviously in it too. And what sport is Questlove playing?
What sport?
I guess.
Luching? Right? Ice luge?
Ice luge? Is this Winter Olympics?
Yes. That's all I can think of.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. All right. One more of those, and then I can get you on your way.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
These are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. I like these.
Let's see if this next prompt is you right or not. We'll do it since you're a couple, this kind of works. What is worse during a kiss, a sneeze or a burp?
I would say a burp.
Definitely a burp. I mean because with a burp, it could happen while you're kissing. With a sneeze, there's no way you're gonna sneeze while you're kissing.
Well, if you sneeze while you're kissing someone, there's a possibility I feel like concussing them too, because I feel like you kind of take your head back and then when you sneeze.
I just like I have like a moment before I sneeze, and it's a big moment. And there's a lot of theatrics around it too, and it just wouldn't happen during a kiss. Like I would definitely have to wind up a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of yelling usually. It's I don't know if
a burp. I could sneak a burp in there. A sneeze.
Wait, in their mouth?
Yeah, I could burp in your mouth.
No, it smells.
I know, but I'm just saying I could do it, and you might not notice it until afterwards. But sneezing, you would know I'm about to sneeze.
Yeah,
Nailed
I
it.
don't know.
Well done, guys. I love it. I think
Whoa.
that's a viral content right there. If I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Well, super appreciate your time. I love what you guys are doing. It's so cool. I think it's so well done, and it's really fun to watch. So keep it up, and maybe I'll see you at a jam, which would be fun.
Yeah, you should come.
We'll keep
yeah.
you updated.
Yeah,
There'll
keep me
be one in
updated. I'd love to do
September.
it.
Yeah.